have you all with us, both in the room and outside the room. We'd like to start with a chant today. Oh, what page is it on? It's on page 17 if you're in the room. Maybe we can get some chant books. This one people might not know. I don't know how often this one's been done here in Mumbai. Probably have done it. And it's O Thou King of the Infinite on page 17. O thou King of the Infinite, O thou King of the Infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, I behold thee in Samadhi, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. O thou King of the Infinite, O thou King of the Infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, I behold thee in Samadhi, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. O thou King of the Infinite, O thou King of the Infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, I behold thee in Samadhi, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. O thou King of the Infinite, O thou King of the Infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, I behold thee in Samadhi, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. In joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. O thou King of the Infinite, O thou King of the Infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, I behold thee in Samadhi, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. In joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. O thou King of the Infinite, O thou King of the Infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, I behold thee in Samadhi, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. In joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. O thou King of the Infinite, O thou King of the Infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, I behold thee in Samadhi, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. In joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. O thou King of the Infinite, O thou King of the Infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, I behold thee in Samadhi, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. In joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. O thou King of the Infinite, O thou King of the Infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, I behold thee in Samadhi, in joy and more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. In joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. O thou King of the Infinite, O thou King of the Infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, I behold thee in Samadhi, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. In joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. O thou King of the Infinite, O thou King of the infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, I behold thee in Samadhi, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. O thou King of the infinite, O thou King of the infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, I behold thee in Samadhi, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy. O thou King of the infinite, O thou King of the infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi, 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 in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy, in and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy, in joy and in more joy, in thy light of mellow joy.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, dearest friend, beloved God, Lord Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar, beloved Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, friend and guide, Swami Kriyananda. Help us to climb the mountain to self-realization, ascending the spiral stairway of wakefulness. Help us to remember that we are not alone. You are guiding us. Help us to remember the tools you've given us, the example you've left us, and above all, the love that unites us to you, to all our Guru Bhais, and to all creatures everywhere. Help us to expand our awareness, to expand our sympathy, to expand our joy, that we may live as your children, as your disciples, and attain the highest goal. Om. Peace. Amen.
Next chant is that we'll use to go into our meditation this morning is Pole Star of My Life on page 17. I made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, though my sea is dark and my stars are gone, still I see the path through thy mercy. Still I see the path through thy mercy. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. I have made thee pole star of my life. Let's meditate now. remaining in this meditative state, let's listen to the quality this week from Swamiji's Affirmations for Self-Healing book. This week's quality is humility. Humility is not self-deprecation. It is self-forgetfulness. It is knowing that God alone is the doer. It is the realization that nothing in this shadow world of appearances is all that important, except as it draws us closer to the Lord. Never tell yourself that you are sinful, or weak, or incompetent, or lazy, except as such a statement may help you to surrender joyfully to God's power. Then live by that power. Never wear the mask of false humility. Humility is self-acceptance and self-honesty. You have a right to all power if you seek it in infinity and if you never hold the thought that it resides in your little self. And with great power and energy, let's affirm together out loud, I live by thy power, Lord.
I live by thy power, Lord.
What I have is ever thine.
What I have is ever thine.
Ever thine.
Ever thine.
I live by thy power, Lord.
I live by thy power, Lord.
What I have is ever thine.
What I have is ever thine.
Ever thine.
Ever thine.
I live by thy power, Lord.
I live by thy power, Lord.
What I have is ever thine.
What I have is
Ever
ever thine.
thine. I live by thy power, Lord. What I have is ever thine.
What I have is ever thine.
Ever thine.
Ever thine.
I live by thy power, Lord. What I have is ever thine. Ever thine. I live by thy power, Lord. What I have is ever thine. Ever thine. And lifting it up to the point between the eyebrows in silence, letting it seep into the super consciousness in yourself. I live by thy power, Lord. What I have is ever thine, ever thine. And silently pray with me. Thou art the doer, Lord, not I. Express thy perfection through me, as I strive ever eagerly to live in thy light. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let's have the choir now. Good catch. Get real close together. You know? Men's nose. Men's nose, but here's the melody. Nice big breath.
arms a friend, helps us ascend up from life's stairs to the sky. Love is a star, though shining afar. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh. Love is a star, though shining afar. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh.
It's one of Yogananda's prayer demands that he wrote and collected in the book Whispers from Eternity. Prayer demand to reach the one highway of realization. Flower of all fragrances, awaken our senses. Lead us not through forests of uncertainty, where many bypaths lead off in diverse directions, twisting and turning, though as it were hopefully, past endless obstacles to the city of light. Take us out quickly onto that inner highway of realization, the spine, which leads directly to thee. O thou unfailing beacon of light, send thy illuminating ray into the darkness of our ignorance. Show us the right way, and let us not be sidetracked by mere beliefs and dogmas. Help us to experience thee. No matter what our bypath of formal worship, guide us at last onto the highway of common soul intuition, which leads us to direct perception of thee. Soaring high above narrow lanes of bigotry and lightly over unyielding walls of religious prejudice, lift our souls safely up into thy free skies of bliss. And let us meet together joyfully in thy unwalled temple of universal worship, with its dome of the free sky not structured by man-made, man-interpreted, man-prescribed beliefs and limitations. There shall we raise chants of devotion to thy omnipresence, our hymns made sacred by the simple, direct sincerity of our hearts. Teach us to seek thee by paying careful scientific attention first to what actually lifts our consciousness, practical techniques of salvation that open our consciousness to experience thee. As we live today in a new age of energy which has given us physical flight, so let us realize that we have it in us to guide our airplanes of thought high above the dark clouds of mere theological opinions, denunciations, and sectarian squabbling, to see the same one Son of Truth in turn lighting city after city, country after country, continent after continent. Even so dost thou bless all equally with thy love. O beacon of cosmic light, send thy guiding ray of divine understanding into the darkness of our ignorance, that our soaring consciousness may land safely, incarnation after incarnation, on terrain conducive to continued thoughts of thee. O flower of fragrance, send us the scent of love, to inspire us always in our search for thee, with longing to climb ever higher into the stratosphere of divine realization. May dreams of thy perfect garden, far above all time and space, but near to us always in our hearts, speed our soul's journey and quench our thirst in thee.
Good morning, everyone. Happy weekend of celebrating Swami Kriyananda's legacy, Steps to Divine Freedom. My name's Lahari, Nayaswami Lahari. This is Nayaswami Biraj. We have the great joy and privilege of being here in Mumbai among you all for these 6 months. We're now into our 4.5 month, something, fourth month. So we'll be back, but we'll return and take care of some things on the other part of the world. Today is a really fun topic. It's, for some of us, I don't know if you're like that, but I grew up as an idealist. My mother used to say to me, you think of castles in the air, but you don't know how to build them. I had a very good imagination, and I always sort of knew somehow that the highest existed somewhere. I thought perhaps it was in some heaven or astral world, and I couldn't wait to get there. But I learned as time went on that there actually is a path. And I'm going to tell you a little story. This is borrowing the story from The New Path from Swami Kriyananda's book. He speaks of a vision that Yogananda had and told everybody about. And the vision was set in India. Here we are. It was a young man walking through a marketplace, a dusty marketplace, thronged with people, Vasova gown comes to mind, just everybody, dust and dirt and cats and dogs and cows and whatever else was happening.
Well, there aren't any cows there.
But in Master's story. So the hubbub of life, but off in the distance, this was probably close to the foothills of the Himalayas, I imagine, and off in the distance, there was a tall hill, a mountain, that was behind this scene, but everybody was focused on the scene and the bargaining and the getting the stuff and the people and the society and the gossip and all the things that little villages do. And this young man stood there and watched. And he watched person by person. Somehow they'd look up and they'd see that tall, verdant mountain. And their eyes would light up like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to get out of all this dirt and dust and go up there? And he would watch their faces get a little downcast and look down as if it's too high for me. One after the next person came. And the legend had it that on top of this mountain was an incredible world of beauty and light and people living there in joy and happiness. But it required a long journey, and it just seemed too much for the people in the marketplace. They looked up. And Yogananda in the vision said, he looked around and then he found himself in the vision looking at the mountain and starting to think, group thought being what it is, he actually started to think, I think it's too high for me. And then he caught himself and he said, no, it may be high. I don't exactly know how I'm going to get to the top. But if I take one step and put it in front of the other and move in that direction, I can get to the top of that mountain. And that's all of us. We are knowing that there's this mountain. Biraj gave us the lovely chant in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, I will find, did you give us that? No, King of the Infinite. Another one, King of the Infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi. And I always think it's fun to play with these things. There's the the last smile picture up there, and if you have a chance to see a big one, it's really can be impressive. I've taken seclusion time from time to time and just stared in Yogananda's eyes and thought, he's just ready for his Mahasamadhi. What would that be like? Just pretend, like children, we pretend. And I found some uplifting benefit from just pretending. So there's the mountain, and how do we climb it? There's a beautiful book, an intense, extreme sport kind of book called Into Thin Air, which is climbers that would climb up Mount Everest. And a particular party was followed, and all the things that happened, quite an adventure. As you can imagine, Into Thin Air is the name of it because the oxygen gets pretty thin when you're up, and lots of things happen with that. Now, this was a smart band of people who were determined to go. So what do you think they did when they really decided, I'm going to go to the top of the mountain and I want everybody to come with me and make it safely? What do you think they did first?
Took oxygen.
There, they had the oxygen. That's very important. What else would be important if you were headed off to climb Mount Everest? Food. Make a plan. That's good. Heavy coats. You'd need a lot of things, wouldn't you? It's cold up there, and the wind blows. And what else would you need?
You need a map.
You need a map. He's a mapper of the family. He has the map gene, as often men do. I'm going, is this north, is this south? But he always knows. And so he's a mapper, so he's got a map, and that's going to help a lot. What else do we need? What else would you want? The guide. As I read these books about, different people who've gone to conquer the mountain, the Sherpas are the heroes. If you don't have a Sherpa or two or three, it would just be totally foolish, actually, to try and make it because of all the dangers that are there. The Sherpas have been doing this for a while. They know the terrain. They know how much food you're going to need. They know how much oxygen you're going to need. They know what's going to happen if you don't have enough oxygen and you get lightheaded. They know what happens if you get altitude sickness. They know all of this. They've done it. Generations before them have done it. And people succeed. Still, not everybody makes it because it's an arduous journey and it's full of danger. And it still takes, even if you have the very best Sherpa, I think with 5 self-realized masters who have made it to the top of that God realization mountain, we're in pretty good company as far as guides go. So what is our part? What do we need to do to even say, will you help me get to the top of the mountain? We need to cooperate with them. We need to, respect them and tune into them. We need attunement. We need, one thing that comes to my mind, because in this life, and I don't know any other life either, I don't think I'm going to be climbing to the top of Mount Everest, but I was inspired in the autobiography when I first read it as a neophyte, Everything's Possible. What an amazing book, amazing, great soul, Yogananda. I'm with him every step of the way, and he tells the story of Babaji being up in the Himalayas, and one of his long-lost devotees goes climbing to find him, and he's months getting lost and found and up and down and all around the mountains looking for Babaji. Now that really spoke to my heart because as soon as I read about Babaji, I wanted to find him. I wanted to go where he was and find him. So, neophyte, childlike aspiration, but deeply felt too. I wanted that freedom that he has. And so this devotee climbs the mountain, gets lost and found. Finally, after 5 or 6 months, I think it was, he finally finds Babaji and his band of devotees sitting around the fire. And he runs up to him. Oh, Guruji prostrates at his feet. I finally found you. I've been seeking. I've left everything. You must accept me as your disciple. Nothing else matters to me in life. Nothing matters to me. Babaji looks right at him, and what does he say? He says, you're not ready for discipleship. I can't accept you. Oh, imagine. So anything, I'll do anything, Guruji. Please accept me. My life means nothing. This is the only thing that's important to me. I'll do anything. Babaji says, anything? Yes. Well, then jump. Jump off a mountain cliff to certain death. But that devotee was at that point where the Guru knew what was required and the devotee was ready to hear that advice. He jumped. The disciples were aghast. How could you do that? He was your disciple. Don't you love him? He came, he found you, all of this. They were just aghast and doubting Babaji, Babaji said, it's all right. Go get him. So they climb down the mountain. They bring back his inert form and prostrate, lay it before Babaji. Babaji reaches down, touches him, brings him back to life. And he said, this expiated a certain karma that you had. Now it's expiated and you can join our band. You can now be one of the immortal band of Babaji's disciples who go from mountaintop to mountaintop with the danda. And Babaji, I always love this phrase. It caught my mind at age 17 when I read this autobiography for the first time. Dara danda udao. I will take my, and then they all disappear and go to the next mountaintop. Well, certainly that caught my imagination. But that desire to reach the heights, however we define them, is it perfect joy? Is it perfect love? Satchitananda. Satchitananda is the goal of all souls everywhere, no matter what faith, religion, atheists, agnostics, doesn't matter. It's the soul in God. And everybody has a soul that's part of God, and God is trying to bring that soul back to union. And this is the path, Sat Chitananda, ever new, ever existing. So we're at some place on the mountain, each of us. It depends on the morning. It depends on the minute, probably. Am I at the bottom of the mountain looking up, thinking, oh, I think it might be too high for me? Or are we about midway, thinking, yeah? Or are we almost there, but, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired, I have to sit down. Where are we on the mountain? It doesn't matter where we are on the mountain, because there's only one path that we're trying to walk, one step at a time. And sometimes it may seem we go back a little bit on the journey. It's like children. I remember studying a little bit about childhood education, and children, Aryavan could tell us much about this. Children, they make progress, they make a leap, and then they have to go back a little bit and integrate that big leap because it was a little too much for them all at once. We're like that too. We have to have our moments to stand back, get quiet, gain our strength again for the next level of the climb. So what I found it needed, which I aspired to have when I read that story of Babaji, was courage. Courage. And so I wanted to understand what courage was. So I looked it up in the dictionary. We even had dictionaries long ago, before we had Google. And you could find words, and you could find their meanings. And courage was a French word, of the heart. So you have to have enough energy in your heart. You have to have enough desire in your heart for the better thing that you're going for. You have to have the ability to face a fear and move through it anyway. Like the story in Yukteswar. Yukteswar said that when he was a little child, he was afraid, people were trying to make him afraid. And they said, there's a monster in the closet. You know how children are, they try and so he tells his mother, there's a monster in the closet. Mother said, okay, let's see. So the mother walks him, she says, open the door. There's a monster in the closet, but He gets it together, he opens the door, and there's no monster. And that story applies to a lot of us with our fears. A lot of times we're letting our fear get in the way. It's our imagination. It could be horrible. There could be a monster, but really there isn't a monster. Or if there is a monster, there's the ability to face the monster and prevail, whatever way it is. I love the Aikido science where the force comes at you and you just move it. You don't have to always smash it like in other martial arts. You realize this is energy, it's coming to me, let me just take the energy and redirect it away from me. Lots of ways to conquer monsters. But the real monsters we have to conquer, aren't they, are our vrittis in the spine, our past lives and our habits and our failures and our bad karmas that we have to get rid of. We do have obstacles along our journey up the spine, the spiral stairway of wakefulness that goes up like this to the spiritual eye, where we will have the land of Samadhi. Again, being an optimist, I've been always very attracted to the Vedanta way of looking at things, which is, let's talk about the goal. The goal is here. It's going to be wonderful, better than anything you could possibly imagine. You're going to be in bliss all the time. Nothing's ever going to bother you again. You will have no fear ever again. You will always be in a state of perfect, infinite love that expands to everywhere, everyone, no matter what. Unconditional love. You will be full of energy and creativity. You look at Yogananda, you look at Swami Kriyananda's life, fountains of creativity and fun and joy and laughter and light and the goal, I come back to this line often. You'll hear me repeat it a lot. Gyanamata, Yogananda's foremost disciple when he was living in Los Angeles, she said, see nothing, look at nothing but the goal ever shining before you. And I try and remind myself, there's a lot we have to look at. Obviously, we have work, we have jobs, we have the egos of others around us, we have a competitive world. We're here in Bollywood where, you have to have a strong ego to even think you're going to play the game. And so, sometimes people get caught in those egos, and then they're big energies to, go against each other sometimes. In the world of finance also, there's competition everywhere. It's part of the game that people play. But we can live in our center when we remember and identify more and more through meditation that there is this reality inside. We are one with the light. It lives in us. The sound of Om resonates in us. We can tune into it, at least listen for it. The light is there. The love of God is there. The joy is there. Many people have been speaking over the weekend, and I heartily encourage you to look for, Rajesh is going to help us maybe find, the global celebration of Swami's legacy, his 10 years since he left the body in Moksha. And the link will go around as soon as we find it. But Narayani spoke as well last night, very, very beautifully. You'll want to see it. She spoke last, so you may, if you don't have much time, you can find it. Certainly not least, very powerfully about Swami's legacy of love, and I encourage you to watch it. I mean, it's sort of an odd place to end. I won't end here. You got to kind of, you got to build the symphony. You got to have something at the end, So at the end is one of the things I really appreciated. We were working on the flyer for this, and Mehta and I were playing back and forth, and we were finding pictures. And one of the picture was a person. The mountain was like this, And this is one of those super extreme persons climbing alone, I think, alone in the picture anyway, with just hanging by the ropes that people, just out there in space, hanging, and the mountain was like this. And we thought, wow, but I just went, oh my gosh, I'm too scared. I look at that picture and I think that's not for me. I couldn't say yes to that climb. Maybe some of my friends couldn't either, so we'll keep looking. So we played and we found, and then finally we found a picture where there were people together climbing up the mountain. And it seems like they had a pretty good Sherpa, they had a guide. They were well dressed, they were very warm, and they were in the snow, but they were together. And I said, now that is a climb, a pilgrimage, possibly I could sign up for, because the friends would be there. I thought that's part of why Yogananda gave us this community idea of satsang, because you go on pilgrimage, there's some little stuff, but you climb to Mount Everest, you definitely want to have your friends with you. You want to be able to say, I'm scared, and have somebody say, it's going to be all right, let's go. And then there is, as Biraj reminded us today, there's the pole star, there's the guru. We're never actually alone. So in those moments when we think we might be alone and things are bigger than we can handle, there's the guru guiding us. If we but tune in, he said, if you just think of me, you can stay in tune with me, everything will be smooth sailing if you can stay in tune. So that's what we want. The guide we have, the practices, the tools, the pickaxe to get through the snow. We've got all kinds of tools, of techniques that we can bring out, depending on the terrain of our life. But always we have the pole star of the Guru guiding us to the highest, and he says we can make it. He encourages us to believe. And he said, eventually, why not now? So keep ourselves ready at any moment. We will attain.
The choir is in just a moment going to come up to sing about that pole star of our lives here in the forehead. And this song that we're about to sing, Madh found a beautiful clip of one of the last times that Swamiji was present at the singing of this song. And it reminded us, by watching this clip that she'd found, that even in the very last months of Swamiji's life, 10 years ago, he had such reverence for this song. It had come through him. He had composed it. His name is at the top of the song. But he just had such reverence for what had been given to him, and that every time it was about to be sung, when he was present, he asked everyone in the room to stand, just because how special the song was. And in this particular occasion, he hardly could stand, but he did anyway, even though his body was infirm and frail in his last couple of months. He was bound and determined to do what he had always asked everyone else to do. So, if you'll join us, let's all stand for Thy Light Within. You'll find it in your... no, you won't find it in that book. Oh, well. We'll do it twice, so you'll be able to hear it and sing along with us. Same note. There it is. Here we go. Nice big breath.
Thy light within us shining has shone where freedom lies. shone where freedom lies. From earthly warmth confining to soar in spirit skies. How oft like sheep we've strayed apart, now guided by thy ray. In inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day.
We'll do the arati now, you could sit. And
Swami Shri Yukteswar, beloved Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, friend and guide, Swami Kriyananda, help us to be your instruments, sharing your love and light into this world, to all whom we meet, to creatures everywhere. Let's rub our palms together and send out Om, sharing the blessings we've received with the world.
It does seem like lots and lots of members, feel free to sit for a moment, lots and lots of members of our Madh.
I think mic is off.
It matters when you touch the microphone, I guess. Many of our members of our I'll get it right eventually. Just like climbing that mountain. so many members of our Mud Island ashram seem to be traveling, just like Narayani and Churjo right now, but not only them. Many, many key members of the ashram are going, and I'm afraid one of them happens to be going in about 20 minutes, and that's my wife. Lahari will be jumping in a cab to go to the airport because she's starting a 2-week panchakarma down in Kerala. So you've got about 10 or 15 more minutes to say goodbye to her, and she's gone for 2 weeks. And then a week from now, there are so many people going to be gone from the ashram that the Narayani and Churjo just said, let's close it for a week. So there won't be anything at all after next Sunday's Sunday Satsang until the next Sunday Satsang. It's going to be closed the whole week. So everyone will just get to scatter, go in seclusion, whatever they need to do. So don't try to come and find us that week. That's a week from now to 2 weeks from now. Okay? But thank you all for coming today. Thank you for tuning in online, and hope to see you all one more week next Sunday. God bless.